Sarah.
And I'm Becky.
And today we are going to be reviewing Beware That Girl by Teresa Toten. So this book is about, I'm going to try to keep it real short. It's basically about Kate O'Brien, a scholarship student who goes to Waverly. She's looking to move up in the world, so she has her sights set on Olivia, who is super rich and is an only child and only has a single father. So Kate's going to use that to kind of live with her and get the money and the power and the prestige with it. Plus, Olivia's a little unstable, so Kate's going to use that to kind of further her progress. While at Waverly, a new scholarship guy joins them.
He was like the fundraising guy.
Yeah, like he wasn't a teacher.
Director of advancement, is that what it was?
So basically he was supposed to use his suaveness to get money for the school. Anyway, it turns out he's total psycho. All of the women around him kind of fall at his feet, and I'm sure probably all the men didn't really get into that. And things tend to take a dark twist when he's around. So Kate doesn't understand his motives. Olivia kind of gets drawn into his trap, and then it turns into this whole mystery of like figuring out what in the world is going on and how to get out of it. So,
and I think you hit on the right word to start it. Everybody in this book is a psycho. Everybody is a sociopath.
And I hate when authors do that because I think that it's just the easy way out. Because if you label somebody a psychopath, then you don't have to worry about developing the character.
There's no motive or anything. It's just, they're just a psychopath.
Oh, they're a psychopath.
That's it.
That's just why they do it.
And we looked it up. 3% of men and 1% of women are psychopaths. And Kate O'Brien has managed to interact with so many more. So like those 3% people all managed to show up in Kate O'Brien's life.
Well, and then the other thing is though, like, she's also surrounded by people with serious psychological issues too. Not just psychopaths, but like serious drug necessary like psychological issues.
Like your neurotransmitters aren't working right kind of stuff.
Like I feel like you're not going to come across that many people with such extensive psychological issues or challenges.
And it's just part of like the whole issue with the book is like everything about it is so kind of unbelievable. And like the actual narrative of this girl getting a scholarship to this school in New York, that's not unbelievable. But then she just happens to meet this other girl who happens to be mentally ill, whose father happens to let the first one move in. And this other girl, one of these girls just happens to start a relationship with this man at the school who happens to be a sociopath, which happens to lead to this, that happens to lead to that. It's almost like if you don't actually build up motive and like make sense of the narrative, it's just kind of like this twist out of nowhere, which just feels kind of like lazy writing.
Well, and then that also gets back to, I think she uses the psychological issues as a crutch. I mean, because if she just blanket statement gives that everybody has psychological issues, then that's their motive. She doesn't have to worry about creating one.
But her first book, which was The Unlikely Hero of Room
13B,
was about kids with mental issues in a support group, and it did use the mental issues, and it did it well, and it did it believably, and it made you want to connect with those characters more. Whereas this book, I was like, I don't care.
Her first book was, I don't know if it was her first book, but the 13B book was, I mean, it was awesome. It was interesting. You wanted to read it. This book, not so much. I mean, they're touting it as similar to Girl on a Train with the, not quite understanding like what's going on in your life.
See, and I read Gone Girl. Like, talking about how it's like the new Gone Girl.
And it just, I don't get into those books, and I don't know, and I don't even think it was as well done as those books were.
No, it feels very much like, I don't want to say rip-off, but it feels like a copycat.
Yeah. I mean, but it's another ploy to sell books, so
I know.
I just can't blame them. And I think the other reason why it fell short, though, is because it's really a new adult book.
It did feel kind of new. And even if it's not, the story is new adult. The book is aimed at teens because it's teen characters, but you could have easily taken that narrative and made it freshman year at Yale. They were obsessed with Yale, just like Rory Gilmore. They keep saying she's going to go to Yale.
Just love like Gilmore Girls. What is that?
Actually, I don't love. There's a whole. I broke up with Gilmore Girls.
Okay.
There's a whole thing.
You talk about them a lot, though.
But anyway, So, but I don't base my life on what Rory Gilmore did either. Before I broke up with Gilmore Girls.
Right.
So I just.
Well, yeah. I mean, it would have made more sense. It would have fit better. Girl goes to prestigious college, falls in love with professor. Like, that would make more sense than what's happening here. Plus, kind of spoiler alert, the things that the teacher does to girls is really graphic. Like, the kind of S&M, very, think 50 Shades of Grey, but the girls don't actually want it. Like, it's pretty rough. Like, it's pretty rough.
See, and I would think, like, reading it as an adult, you're like, okay, well, this whole submissive thing and this control isn't. I'm like, okay, yeah. But if I had been 14 reading that, I didn't know what any of that stuff was when I was 14.
I think if I had read it at 14, I'd have been horrified. Like, what is going on? This is not okay.
And I don't know if I would even have understood what was going on.
I mean, but I think the pain and the punishment that was going into
that's true.
Would have been
scar.
I would have rejected it and just gone been done with it.
Yeah, it would have been scary. And it feels like another one of those books that we're marketing for teens, which is just like a big pet peeve of mine. There are so many great authors who write books that are teen friendly, and then when you throw in these books that aren't teen friendly, but you put them out as teen because that's what people are reading. I mean, it just doesn't. I don't know.
It doesn't flow right, and it doesn't fit well in the teen area. I think if I were gonna recommend it, I would recommend it to an adult. And even then, I don't know who I would recommend it to.
Yeah, like maybe a 17 or 18-year-old, which are not the ones that come into the library. But young teen, no.
Oh, definitely no.
No. Yeah, it's kind of a sticky situation. But it was another one that I just didn't care. I just did not care. I'm like, get it over with.
So then, like, the other thing, like, going in with this is not only is the author leaning heavily on the psychological issues to do her work for her, but, like, then it also is one of those other books that I've kind of been coming across recently where it's built around one concept and then, like, the whole book is just to kind of push that concept. And so for this one, it's bringing a knife to a gunfight, and it's like, I don't care. Like, why don't you just develop the story as opposed to trying to fit the story to that concept?
Well, and, like, the big twist at the end, I was like, so? And like, it felt like there were so many, like, twists and turns that didn't have a build-up, that it was just like, nah.